everybody, Tyrone Shoes here, and we are going to talk about improvising today, and we're going to do it in a controlled environment, very limited fashion. When you look at the guitar neck, all you see is an ocean of notes, and how the heck are you supposed to decide what you're going to play? Well, there are two things that you can do. One is know your scales, and then beyond that, you're going to want to know what notes are in each chord so that you can paint a picture of those notes. And then that means memorizing your scale patterns, and that also means memorizing your arpeggios. And of course, so we start with our scales. If we have an A minor scale, and the home arpeggio, and we dutifully start from the low E string, and actually that's something that you should consider changing, because when you play a solo, you're much more often in the upper register compared with the lower register. And when we do our improvising exercise in a little bit, we're going to use a limited number of strings, but we're going to start on the treble side, not on the bass side, just for that reason. Well, there's many patterns, but I generally teach 5 because they connect completely and there are no gaps in the neck. So there are 5 scale patterns that you have to learn, and then there are arpeggios in each of those, and it just seems like a lot of work. If you want to make music that sounds pleasing to the ear, or the feet, or the hips, if you want to make people dance, there's melodic and rhythmic concerns and dynamic concerns. A fine guitar instructor and author named Mick Goodrick had a very kind of intimidating book called The Advancing Guitarist. If you spent a dedicated amount of time to master all the exercises he puts forth in that book, you wouldn't have time for anything. Not even eating, sleeping, etc. Reproducing. One of the exercises, several of the exercises were great, but the one that I'm going to talk about really kind of sat me on my behind. And that is, see what you can do with one note. That's it. So let's say we have a groove. I'll use my looper. Let's see if I can do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Reasonable. Let's see if it hitches. I'll take it. Okay, one note. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so you have loud, soft, long, short, vibrato or not vibrato. Now we're running out of things, but that's actually a lot of things. That's a lot of different things that you can do with the note. You can play it briefly, right? You can play it long, you can play it vibrato, you can play it soft, loud, and then you mix it up. And you see what you can get out of that one note, and then add a note, and it's going to sound like this. Now I'm going to save that second note. Here we go. Here it comes. Now it feels like was like you had the whole world, even though it's only one other note. I don't want to go too long with this, but then we add a third note, right? So you get the idea. Along those lines, we're not going to start that far down the ladder. We're going to make a couple of assumptions. We're going to take a chord progression. We're going to take A minor and G, and the reason I chose those chords is because there are no common tones. And I know before all you jazz guys go, well, every note has a relationship to these chords and they can be played and interpreted by the intervallic relationship, fine. But that's not what we're doing here. We're trying to paint a picture of the A minor chord and the G chord, and we're going to do it in a very confined area. The A minor chord is spelled A-C-E, and the G chord is spelled G-B and D. You should know this, and here's a little shortcut if you're not sure. To do a minor shape, start with your ring finger, go back 2 frets on the G string, well, on the next string, and then stretch 4 frets. That works anywhere. Now, obviously, not if you include the B string. So stay away from the B string. Right? That's how to spell. So if I want to spell an A minor chord, I find an A. Here's one. We reach back 2 frets, and then we stretch 4 frets. Right? Now, to spell a major chord, start with your middle finger. Go back 1 fret, and then 3 frets. It's actually the easier one of the two to make. So A minor is Alpha Charlie Echo, A-C-E. The G chord is Golf Bravo Delta, G-B-D. All right, so now I'm going to take a snapshot of an A minor scale. Doesn't have to start or end on the root. Those are all the notes you can reach in this area. There's your root note right there, but we have other notes. Those are the 3 notes. In fact, we're going to start with 1 string. We're going to do this fairly briefly. We have an A and a B and a C. So we got 2 notes in the A minor chord, A and C. We only have 1 note in the G chord. Now, let's get a rhythm. Let's erase what I had before. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and... Now, you're going to run out of ideas. If we bend this C note, that C note right there, we can get a D. A little sharp on that bend. We're going to do this again so I can get this right. Again, we can bend this C note to get a D note. And now we can also bend the B note a half step. All right, so now if we add the next string, we have a G, we have an F, and we have an E. an A. Let it back down into the G. Now we add the G string. We've got a D, a C, Delta, Charlie, Bravo. It's a great string for the G chord because we have two notes, right? And with a bend, we can get to an E. Now we got two notes for the A minor. Now we got two notes for the G. And of course, you can pass over the other notes. If you have to have your root note, there it is right there. But I just had to do that for resolution's sake. But if we stick with these three strings, don't forget your dynamics. So that's three strings. Then we can add a fourth one. Just two notes on this one. There's a nice root note right there. So we have an A and a G. Oh, here comes the dog. So you can gradually add a string as you go. Now the A string, we have a D, E, and F. Oops, I went to the E string, which is coming next. We have an A, B, and a C. So I'm going a little fast here, but the point is, don't add a string until you're completely comfortable with the ones you have been working with. So you start really small and you gradually expand. And then you will be able to make concise solos that are targeted where they should be. So you're making music instead of just throwing notes around. Sure, you can take your scale and just throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. It's actually kind of fun, but it can be frustrating because a couple things happen. First of all, your fingers get used to certain movements and they're not always good ones. You're just used to moving your fingers a certain way and it might not be applicable to the chords. But and you wind up repeating yourself a lot, but sometimes you will find something that just sounds great, and that's when you kind of gotta hit pause on the looper or whatever, and then try to bottle it up, mentally bottle up what you just did so that you can repeat it. Same thing if you do something that you hate, try to remember what you did and then make sure you don't do that anymore. If you don't have a looper, you can take your phone and go in the voice prompts. Then you'll have to play your rhythm for like a minute and a half or 2 minutes. And that's actually a pretty long time, but that's how you'll have to do it. You can play it right into your phone and then play your phone back and play over top of it. The looper's nice because obviously it'll go as long as you want until you step in on the button, and you only have to play it for a few measures, you know, and there you go. Well, I hope this helps, and we'll see you in the next video.